What is up, you wonderful human beings? I'm going to be running you through a review of a supplement that I've been using for a long time. It's GABA. For those of you who follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you've probably seen me talking about this. This is the one that I use, by the way. It's GABA Relaxer by Country Life. I'm just going to run through when I would use it, who might be able to benefit from it, how to use it, and actually like how it works, and break down a little bit so you have a bit of an understanding for it. In terms of who this is good for and what times you should use it, GABA is amazing for anybody who is stressed, anybody who is worked up, anybody who's not sleeping as well, anybody who wants to reduce their cortisol and just reduce their sympathetic activity. If we remember, and I'll just go switch over to the iPad now, if we remember the hierarchy of health, and this is what I'm always going to push you guys back to, because this is how you elicit any sort of change within the body. If you want to perform better, if you want to have more energy, if you want to lose fat, gain muscle, if you just want to be a better human, this is what you need to follow. Remember that we always have the nervous system at the bottom, the digestive system, the endocrine system or the hormone system, the immune system, and then the rest, right? This is how we always want to prioritize our approach, because each low level then goes on and affects the level above, okay? This is how it works. So with the nervous system, this is where GABA comes in, right? Because what GABA does, it shifts us. So when we're in the sympathetic nervous system, it pushes across to the parasympathetic. So whenever we're too amped up, whenever we're anxious, whenever we're stressed, we've got a lot of work on, things are not going right, or we just want to be able to sleep more deeply and be more calm, this is going to be your best friend, okay? And that's when I would use it. That's when I would recommend it to my clients. So in terms of how it works, GABA is actually an inhibitory neurotransmitter within the body. What inhibitory means is it slows things down. So throughout your nervous system and throughout your brain, you have neurotransmitters which are excitatory, meaning they speed things up and they make things happen, and then you have inhibitory, which slows things down, okay? And this is very, very general, very, very rough. There are a whole heap of more techie, sciencey things and a lot of contradictions which I'm not going to go into today. We're just going to keep it super basic. But with this, GABA is one of the big ones. It comprises roughly 70% of all the inhibitory neurotransmitters, something like that, right? And so what we want to do is we want to boost these number of inhibitory neurotransmitters to slow our body down. When we have an increase in GABA, it tells the whole brain, this is my brain, it tells everything to slow down and relax, and this goes throughout the whole body. Now, if we remember this, whenever we are too worked up, whenever we are too stressed, whenever we're not sleeping well, a whole heap of things start going wrong. First of all, we notice that our digestion goes downhill and stops working as much. We notice that our hormones, if we do it for long enough, our hormones will actually go down. For a lot of guys who have low testosterone, it's actually a stress-related issue. People like to think that you need Tribulus or you need to change your diet or anything like that. Generally, it's actually a stress issue. That's how we've been able to get such massive results with all of our guys. In terms of if you're getting crook, if you have autoimmune conditions and whatnot, that also generally comes back a lot of the time to stress issues. If you're stiff, if you're tight, if you can't lose fat, if you can't gain muscle, even though you're watching your calories and you're dieting well and everything's correct, it's just really, really difficult for you. That also comes back to a stress issue. So that's why I like GABA so much, because it just reduces your stress very, very quickly. By increasing the amount of GABA that we have within the body and in through the brain, there's a technicality on this as well. A lot of people debate whether GABA can actually get through the brain or not. One thing that I will say is whether it gets into the brain or not, I don't really care. One thing it does do is it slows down the body and it shifts us into more of a parasympathetic state, right? And so what happens is when we're shifted into a parasympathetic state, we slow down. Our digestion gets better, our hormones get better, our immune system gets better, and our body gets better as well. Everything starts functioning at a much, much higher level. So for me, this is really, really important. I'm super prone to stress. I'm super prone to anxiety. I've had it for a large portion of my life. I also run a decent sized company. We're doing, working with a substantial number of clients. We've got like 30 people working in and around the business. So it's pretty big there, and there can be a little bit of stress, right? And so I take this every single day. In terms of how much I take anywhere between 200 milligrams up to 2 grams of GABA per day. And you can actually go higher. I've actually had a peak of 6 grams. That's when I took the most. Now, I like to try and err on taking the minimum amount of supplements as possible. The reason being is because, and this, I'm just going to write this down because I want you guys to remember this. Supplement, right? This means that these are not to be like the basis of everything that you do. If you eat like shit, sleep like shit, play video games all night, if you do everything wrong, you're taking drugs, you're smashing caffeine, you're doing all this sort of stuff, GABA's not just going to come in and immediately fix you. It's going to be a part of the puzzle. You need to combine this still with all the other stuff. You need to be doing your breath work. You need to be prioritizing sleep. You need to be looking after your hormones, your immune system, and the rest, looking after your diet, exercise, all that sort of stuff. But this certainly helps along the way. Supplements supplement. They're not the basis of a plan. They're a component of a plan, and they supplement everything that you're doing, okay? And that's why I like to stick to around 200 milligrams, okay? When do I take this? I take this either throughout the day or actually right before bed. A lot of people like to think of it as this. A lot of people like to, how have their routine will be in the morning, they'll smash a lot of caffeine, a lot of coffee, and a lot of stimulants. We'll churn those things up and we'll make it so that we're maxing out our body and we're like getting as much energy as possible. The problem with this is that whenever we have caffeine, we shift our body into the sympathetic nervous system. And a lot of people will have the sympathetic nervous system activated for like 16 hours per day, which is crazy, right? So they'll have their sympathetic nervous system going for 16 hours, and then right before bed, they'll be like, all right, I'm gonna smash a whole heap of downers to knock me out and make it so that I can go to sleep. That's not going to work terribly effectively, right? Because your body is so ramped up, you have to take a shitload of downers to bring yourself back down. What I'd rather do is I'd rather keep you more balanced and focused throughout the day. One of the cool things about GABA is it massively amplifies your focus and massively amplifies your ability to be energetic while being calm. And I'll explain how this works. Whenever you're on caffeine, whenever you're taking stimulants, you'll feel like jittery energy. You won't be super focused. You might get a lot of work done, but the work is generally of a very, very poor quality. Whenever you take GABA throughout the day, and whenever you have a constant stream of energy where you are just focused on the one task that you need to do, you're much, much more effective. And that's why I recommend that we minimize our caffeine intake and we always stay in a parasympathetic state. So in terms of GABA, I recommend you take it throughout the day and then a little bit before bed. Do not use it right before bed as like a sledgehammer to knock you out. We don't want to do that, okay? In terms of people who shouldn't use GABA, anyone who has trouble staying awake, anybody who has any sort of medical condition, or anyone who's not been cleared by their doctor should not take GABA at all. It's an amazing supplement. I've used it for years. I've used it with loads of clients. It's very, very safe, but we can never be too cautious. If you want to take this, I recommend starting at 200 milligrams if you're going to, with your doctor's approval, starting at 200 milligrams and working up from there. Now, one thing to note, I take this, which is actually a compound of GABA and multiple other things. It's got niacin in there, it's got inositol, taurine, B6, and glycine as well. So it has a number of other cofactors with it too. What I've noticed is that this is actually far more effective, and I can take a much, much lower dose when I have other cofactors with it too. Whenever you're playing around with nootropics or anything which is going to enhance your brain function or make you feel better, that's a really interesting thing, is that you'll notice that whenever you take multiple nootropics and you stack them together, they become synergistic. And what I mean by synergistic is, if we just had something which is like additive and they're cumulative rather, 1 + 1 = 2. In this, 1 + 1 = 3, right? Because the effects of these things seem to multiply with each other and make them all more potent, right? It like potentiates each other. And that's why I recommend something like this is really good, or taking GABA with glycine, with theanine, with melatonin, things like that, because you get a much, much better result. I hope this helps you out, guys, and I hope you got a lot out of this. If you have any questions at all, you want to know more about dosing, how to take it, timing, anything like that, just drop a comment below and I'll reply back to you and give you as much information as possible. As always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you soon, guys.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If you got something out of it and you want to learn more, click the link below or type in High Performance Conversations with James Cant and you'll be able to check out all the podcasts that we've done. We cover a stack of different topics, everything from getting your mojo back, overcoming anxiety, self-doubt, self-esteem, and learning from some of the industries and some of the world's top performers in both business and in health. Look forward to having you on there.